The latest episode of Outlander's final season just delivered one of the most jaw-dropping cliffhangers the show has produced in years, and fans who thought this week would be another slow burn are in for a serious wake-up call. Season 8, Episode 3 picked up with Jamie Fraser caught in a storm of emotional and political turmoil that made every quiet moment feel like the calm before an inevitable explosion. At the center of it all was the haunting question that has shadowed the entire season. Is Jamie Fraser living on borrowed time? Frank Randall's historical record has long placed a shadow over Jamie's fate, and this episode leaned directly into that dread. In one of the episode's most emotionally charged moments, Jamie heard Frank's voice echo in his mind, with a cutting reminder of what lies ahead, who will keep Claire warm when he's gone. For a man who loves his wife with every fiber of his being, that question is not just cruel, it is paralyzing. The invitation from Lord John Grey to the Frasers forced Jamie to confront something he had been working hard to bury. His resentment toward Lord John over his past intimacy with Claire was never fully resolved, and this week made that painfully clear. Jamie remained unable to extend forgiveness, even as Claire worked to ease the tension between them. What ultimately gave Jamie some peace of mind was an honest, open conversation with Claire, one of the episode's most quietly powerful scenes, where the two finally addressed the fears that had been festering in silence. It did not fix everything, but it was enough to move him forward. That emotional resolution, however, was quickly overshadowed by a political revelation that shook Fraser's Ridge to its core. Captain Cunningham, whom viewers had been eyeing with growing suspicion since his introduction, was confirmed to be exactly what Claire feared: a plant. His claim of being a retired captain was a cover. He had been stationed at Fraser's Ridge under direct orders to build a militia loyal to the Crown, and the men discovered dead at the Warden post were part of that scheme, smuggling arms to support the effort. Jamie uncovered the truth by deciphering a coded letter, a moment that landed with the weight of a bombshell. The revelation reframes the entire season's political landscape. The people of Fraser's Ridge appear to be drifting toward the Loyalist side, drawn by Cunningham's quiet, calculated influence. That drift puts Jamie in an impossible position. He does not agree with Benjamin Cleveland's brutal methods, but Cleveland and his roughly 100 men may represent the last real line of Patriot resistance as the Battle of King's Mountain draws closer on the horizon. If the Ridge sides with the King and Jamie's own men abandon the cause, he may have no choice but to stand with Cleveland. Frank's book, which placed Jamie at that battle and recorded his death, suddenly feels less like a historical footnote and more like a death warrant. One moment in this episode that deserves more attention than it might have received was the scene featuring Fanny standing before the bodies of the men who tormented her earlier in the episode. There was a coldness to her expression, a stillness that spoke of someone who has been close to death before, someone who has survived things that should have broken her. It was a brief but genuinely dark beat that reminded audiences this show is not afraid to let its younger characters carry real weight. Claire's storyline this week was anchored in something far more mystical. Called upon to help a family who had traveled to the cabin in desperate need of medical assistance, Claire delivered a baby that appeared to have no chance of survival. Then something extraordinary happened. In a moment that recalled the show's earliest flirtation with the supernatural, Claire brought the infant back to life, guided by a blue light she described as moving through her, channeling the power that Master Raymond once used to save her daughter Faith under the light of a full moon. The conditions in that moment mirrored those of Faith's birth closely enough for Claire to instinctively access that same energy and pass it on. This raises a question that is now impossible to ignore. If Claire carries this healing power within her, and if Jamie does fall at King's Mountain, could she use it to save him? The show has always balanced historical grounding with its time travel mythology, but this is the first time in a long while that the supernatural has been positioned as something that might directly alter a fate that has already been written down. Claire's healing presence in this episode extended beyond the physical. She was equally a balm for Jamie's fractured state of mind, steadying him when the weight of what lay ahead threatened to pull him under. A lighter note came from a quick exchange between Claire and Brianna, who joked about whether she should start calling Lord John something affectionate given the recent drama. It was exactly the kind of humor the episode needed to breathe. William's arc continues to be one of the most emotionally compelling threads of the season. Still reeling from the revelation in Season 7 that Jamie Fraser is his biological father, William is a man without a clear identity, searching for solid ground in a world that has rearranged itself beneath him. The investigation into his cousin Benjamin's disappearance is giving him purpose. This week brought a significant development. The grave William believed contained Benjamin was empty, suggesting his cousin survived and is now either in hiding or on the run. Lord John, who William assumed might have known more than he let on about Benjamin's situation, turned out to be just as uninformed. Rather than answers, Lord John offered a trade. Use his contacts to find Benjamin in exchange for making contact with Jamie Fraser, a move that, given the current climate, has explosive potential. Meanwhile, William and Miss Grey edged closer to something neither of them has openly acknowledged. He returned Benjamin's uniform to her. She gave him a waistcoat. They shared a kiss. She told him he was like a beetle, not one to simply do what is expected of him. If Benjamin is eventually found, or worse, if he returns on his own, the emotional fallout of that developing relationship could fracture bonds that are already fragile. The figure William gave Benjamin, the one meant to keep him safe, found its way to Miss Grey, and that detail casts a long shadow over whether Benjamin is truly still alive. On balance, this was not the most thrilling episode of Outlander's final season, but it was a necessary one. The final third elevated the whole hour, and the cliffhanger involving Cunningham's exposure is precisely the kind of plot acceleration the season needed heading into its middle stretch. The absence of Rachel, Denny, Brianna, and Roger was felt four characters who have become essential to the emotional fabric of the show, but there is reason to expect their return in the episodes ahead. 7 episodes remain in the run that ends the Outlander story for good, and the pieces are now in place for something unforgettable. Now the real question is yours to wrestle with. Do you think Claire's supernatural healing power will be enough to change what history has already recorded for Jamie Fraser, or is his fate truly sealed at King's Mountain? Drop your theories in the comments below, and if you are watching the final season with us, make sure to like this video, subscribe so you do not miss the next breakdown, and let us know which storyline is keeping you up at night. The end of Outlander is coming, and we are going to talk through every moment of it together.